Hi guys, it's Mario Obo. Before I start my speech, I'd like to give a shout out to the people of Sierra Leone, to God's own people. I want to send a shout out to Sierra Leone. Has been through a lot, from the Ebola to the war, now to the mudslides. A lot of things have come against Sierra Leone, but by the grace of God, Sierra Leone will not fall. Sierra Leone would rise. Today I want to talk about the African communities in Western nations. I'm going to try my best to present this speech in a positive light, because I don't know how else to present it. You know what I mean? I'm going to try my best because I want to present my community as a good community, but I don't know if I can with this speech. Now, there's a story that happened. There's something that happened in Australia in 2015. A lot of African Australians may know it, may have heard about it. This guy, right, he's from Ghana, and he had 28 days to, the government gave him 28 days to leave the country because his visa had expired. But he had a girlfriend. He had a beautiful blonde girl, and she didn't want him to go. She loved him deeply, and she told him that she was going to sponsor him, you know what I mean? But they needed about $4,000 at that time to raise the sponsorship, to get the money for the sponsorship. But this guy had a friend who was a citizen, who already had his game on, all right? And this guy went to work one day. His friend came in and said to the girl, I hope you know that this guy is only after you because of his papers. As soon as he gets his papers, he's going to leave you. He's going to walk away from you. The girl was like, no. He's like, no, he's my friend. He's married back in Africa. I just want to tell you, you're a beautiful girl. He's married back in Africa. Started showing him photos of his cousin and his cousin's kids. That those were his children, and that was his wife. And she was heartbroken. She started crying. And then when she was emotional, the guy then tried to sleep with her. Tried to touch her and tried to sleep with her, but she got herself together and she kicked him out of the house. She said, get out of my house, you know what I mean? So when the guy came back from work, he's like, I can't believe you lied to me. I can't believe you're a liar. You're a scumbag. You're this, you're that. You're married back in Africa. You just want to use me for my papers and say all sorts of things. And the guy was like, who told you all these things? He's like, your friend told me that you only after me because of my papers. But lucky enough for her was that she had a photo of the girl, and then she showed him the photo. He's like, that's my cousin. That's my cousin. That's not my wife. That's my cousin. And then she opened his cousin's Facebook profile, and then showed him his cousin, and then started those kids were another his kids. Just proved himself right. And she was crying, and she couldn't believe that his own friend could do such a thing to him. Now, this is just one story. This is just one thing that's happening in the African community. The African community is very, very bad. Now, if you are in Africa and you're thinking, oh, when I migrate, I'm going to look for another African, we're going to be friends, he's going to show me the ropes, I want you to have a rethink about it, because it's different when you migrate. The friends that you once knew back in Africa that now in that Western nation which you intend to migrate to have changed. A lot of things have changed with them. All right, they're not the same people you once knew. All right, the community is very bad. Now, I've traveled a fair bit in Australia. I've been to a few places, and I've seen Africans who are doing well. I've seen Africans with money, with success. I've seen Africans who are thriving in the careers and everything. And I ask these people, I've never seen you at this party. I've never seen you in this event. I've never seen you here. They laugh, and then they start to tell me of their experience that they had, with African people, and why they don't mix with the community anymore. African people have made other Africans to leave the city to the regional areas. We have left, a lot of people have left the community because of one thing or the other. All right. Now, when I talk about migration, people tell me, why don't you encourage your people to build Africa? Why do you always talk about migration? That is ignorance. That is just plain ignorance, because Africans are not the only immigrants. All right, the Indians migrate, the Asians migrate, the Europeans migrate, everybody migrates. Now, when you want to go buy properties, when you want to go buy houses, right, before you get to the auction, it's already sold by Asians. Asians have bought the property. Now, before you do anything, they already bought it. Asians are buying properties in Western nations by the day. They are invading nations through unity. 5-6 families come together, sign an agreement, put money together, buy a house. They go again, come together, buy a house. They are slowly taking over the economies of nations by buying properties, by investing in companies together. Now, there is no high-paying there's no high-paying company in any Western nation where Indians don't work in numbers. All right, once they hear that that place is good, they pay good money, they go tell their people. Before you know, you have 10, 15 Indians working in there. And who are these people? They're immigrants as well. If you go to the markets, go look at the transport and the logistics, the Arabs are dominating that industry. If you go look at construction, plumbing, carpentry, building, all the builders, the Arabs are dominating it. There is no place where African people are dominating because of the division of our community, and we are immigrants as well. All right, now, right, you know, there are two times where you feel where Africans get afraid of Africans, two times. The first thing is when you don't have your papers. If you go and approach an African girl, the people will come against that union. They will start to say, oh, it's after you, it's after you, it's after... We just invade, we worship vanity, trivial things. That's why when African people, when we first migrate, we go after white, we hang out with white people. Africans, we see, I've gone to work where I meet African people, you know, with... when I go to work, I stay there. An African will walk into the place of work, will say hello to all the white folks in there, and will never say hello to me. And I'm just right there. And I'm like, wow. Is this how much we now hate ourselves to the point where we tear each other down? All right? Now, many African people are going through hell. All right? Going through hell from other Africans in the nations where they are in. And they're confused and they're sad and they don't know what to do. Many African people have run away from Africans, and they're just in one place crying because African people have hurt them and they've destroyed them. They've done everything to pull them down. Now, if you are in that position, I want to tell you right now, right? Get yourself away from that community and go and remember the thing that made you migrate in the first place. And what is so painful, what is so sad is the fact that African people are more religious than anybody else in the world. We go to church, speak in tongues, we are in the mosque, we are praying every day, we are religious, but God is not in our hearts at all. Let me tell you, when I talk about God, right, people say, God is love. If you love one another, you have God living inside of you. If you hate one another, you are a devil. Simple. That's all that it is. African people, we know how to go to church, we know how to pray, we know how to fast, we know how to do whatever we're doing, but we are just devils to one another. All right? Now, you cannot change them. You cannot change it. You can speak, you can do unity, blah, blah, blah. You cannot change these people. These are people who have yielded their lives to the devil, who have been separated for destruction by God. Simple. So if you're going through hell from African people, wherever you are, I want you to remember why you migrated. You are in that nation not for making friends. You are in that nation to better your life, to improve your life. So go and get the dollars. In the morning, go to work. At night, go to work. You see me? I'm very selective where I go right now. I used to be very, very open, laughing, chatting with different people, but I'm not that anymore. I'm very, very selective where I go. Right now, you would never see me in a random club. You will never see me going to people's houses. You will never see me at dinner with anybody. I don't care who you are, whatever money you have in your bank account, whatever I don't care. I have a vision for my life. I have ideas and I have goals, and I'm going for my goal. All right? So if you are going through hell from other African people, I want you to be strong. I want you to be prayerful, and I want you to have your goal in front of you. All right? Don't let the distractions distract you. Okay? God bless Africa. One love.